Hey, what's up guys? Humphrey here. So if you're thinking about buying a car, stop right now. There are three numbers that you need to know before you even step foot into that dealership. So these three numbers will make all the difference in helping you avoid the financial trap that most Americans fall into, which is paying too much for a car and then all of a sudden they're struggling with their monthly payment and then that keeps them living paycheck to paycheck. The first number you need to know is how much you can actually afford. So many people don't understand how much they can actually afford when it comes to cars, and this is really evident in everything that we're seeing in the data. As of Q4, nearly 1 in 5 car shoppers are committing to over $1,000 a month of a monthly car payment. And more than ever, we are seeing people who can't afford, say, a $80,000 BMW driving around in them. And many Americans are living month to month rather than looking at their future. And with the way that car sales work these days, dealerships love spreading you thin financially in order to meet your desired monthly payment number. The average cost to own a car as of 2024 is now $12,297 according to AAA, and that doesn't include the monthly principal payment on a car as well. In order to figure out your number of how much you can afford, there are two rules that we're going to go over today. And first, the 35% rule. The 35% rule states that the most you spend on the price of a car is not to exceed 35% of your gross income. That means if you make $40,000 per year, the car's purchase price should not be higher than $14,000 or 35% of $40,000. If you make $80,000 a year, the car's price should be below $28K, and at $150,000, that means your max car price should be $52,500. Now, in reality, this 35% rule is pretty aggressive and recommended for car enthusiasts, so those that want to spend a pretty penny on their car. A more conservative rule for the general population might be the 25% rule, so the most you spend on a price of a car is not to exceed 25% of your gross income. Personally, I think if you just stay between the range of 25 to 35%, you should be good. Now, how much does that come out to in terms of a monthly payment? So here is actually going to be a table of incomes between $40,000 and $150,000 of income and how much the car should cost based on the 35% rule. Now, there is another column that I added here, which is the corresponding car payment that you should be able to afford, and this is using the 10% car rule of buying. That's our second rule today, and that says that your monthly payment on transportation should not exceed 10% of your gross salary per month, and that's a good conservative number to look at. The purpose is that this 10% rule will help you not overspend on a car. We basically want to ensure that we have enough money to cover any financial issues down the line, and limiting your car expenses to less than 10% of your monthly gross income is a great financial guideline. Of course, you might find in your life that your transportation costs on a monthly basis may come out to even more than 10% or perhaps up to 15%. Still though, I think it's still good to shoot for a conservative target of 10%. So this is how I would land on the first number that you need to know, which is how much of a car that you can actually afford, and I also gave you the monthly payment guidelines. Before we get into the second big number that you need to track today, if you enjoy personal finance and investing news, make sure to check out my free newsletter called Hump Days. We release new editions on Wednesday and Sunday to over 60,000 readers, and I'd love for you guys to join us there. The link will be down below, and if you enjoy the videos that we put out here on the channel, you'll definitely enjoy the newsletter. All right, the second number that you should definitely keep track of before buying a car is the true cost to own of the particular car that you want. So let's say you want to buy this 2025 Honda CR-V EX model. The MSRP on this car is right around $35,000. If we were just focusing on the monthly payments, that comes out to around $605 a month if you put 10% down and you have decent credit. While that sounds manageable, the true cost to own this car is going to be much, much more, and you need to add in additional costs when calculating how much it actually costs to own this car. A simple way to do this is just to go to Edmunds.com's true cost to own calculator, and then you can simply find the make and model and the year of the car that you're looking to buy. Upon further inspection, we see that the true cost to own this Honda over 5 years is $49,491. That comes out to close to $10,000 per year, and this is excluding the payments on the principal of the car, and this is just to keep the vehicle operating. Now, why is that? Well, if we look down right here, we can see this blue gradient bar, which highlights all of the ongoing costs associated with owning this car and the true cost to own. These are expenses like depreciation, taxes and fees, fuel, and of course, insurance and repairs and maintenance. Now, should you actually factor in depreciation though when it comes to your true cost to owning the car? It's not like it's adding to your monthly payment, since depreciation is more of a hidden cost. Well, my answer here is that while you likely won't be calculating this in your cost to own while you own the car because it's not really an active cost, it is a cost down the road when you ultimately get rid of the car. It's definitely still something to consider because it does affect your bottom line at the end of, let's say, 5 years. And if you want to save money on this depreciation category, what you want to do is to try to avoid buying new cars. Famously, when you buy a new car and you drive it off the lot, it becomes a used car and then it immediately drops 10 to 15% in value. The sweet spot to buy a car is somewhere in the 3 to 5 year used range, and this is when most of the depreciation on a car has been chipped off already, but the car is still new enough so that it's not going to exactly have problems with, let's say, repairs and maintenance. Either way, let's look at some of the other costs associated here. So we have taxes and fees. These are self-explanatory, but people forget that the DMV will charge you fees for owning the car every year. Then we have financing charges. So this is the interest on the car loan that you will pay over 5 years. Fuel is another big one. The true cost to own a car will always encapsulate some sort of fuel, or if you're driving electric, some sort of power. So this is definitely a cost that you need to keep in mind depending on how many miles you're driving. The more you are driving on a yearly basis, the more you need to factor in. This current expense as listed is based on 5 years of driving at 15,000 miles per year. So make sure you do the calculation on your own by taking the car's estimated miles per gallon, how many miles you're driving every year, and then the average cost of gas in your state. We also have things like insurance. This has gotten really expensive over the past 2 years, so make sure you don't forget about it in your monthly expenditures. Lastly, repairs and maintenance. You can see that on this car, both of these categories add up to an extra $1,100 or so per year, or $6,669 over 5 years. Now keep in mind, these might be a little bit overestimated according to Edmunds.com. I'm sure you can get away with a lot less, especially if you take your car to, say, a local body shop instead of going to the dealership. Still though, I think I'd rather have you overestimate your expenses rather than underestimate your expenses. So in addition to your monthly payment on this car, you're going to face these additional costs of ownership as well. Now, if we subtract out the depreciation from the ongoing cost, since it's not really an active cost, the total cost to actively own the car over 5 years is $36,637. That's still an additional $610 a month that you need to consider for your monthly calculations. However, this additional $610 per month includes financing charges, and you might have noticed that our original $605 per month also included financing charges. So we need to make sure we subtract out the interest expense, since right now it's currently being double counted. That still comes out to an additional $495 per month that you will be paying actively in addition to your car payment on the loan. That means if the dealer sells you a $605 initial car payment, the true cost to own the car could be closer to $1,100. And remember, this doesn't even include depreciation, which might be a factor down the line, and it doesn't even consider the fact that you needed 10% of a down payment of cash in the first place. We can see here then that the true cost to own a car is sometimes much higher than what the monthly payment that the dealer is going to try to sell you on actually is. Now, the third number you want to keep track of today when you're buying a car is the car's actual purchase price. What I want you to focus on whenever you go to a dealership is to always focus in on the car's actual purchase price. The truth is that most people will require financing to buy a vehicle as they don't have the cash to buy a vehicle outright. And in addition, a monthly payment will feel natural because that's what you see in all the car commercials and online. But for the dealer, they love focusing in on the monthly payment. And the reason is that some salesmen, not all salesmen, but some salesmen love to focus on the monthly payment because it allows them to do a few things. First, it can help the dealer play with the numerous variables that go into the car deal itself. For example, let's take this classic case. So let's say you buy a $35,000 car at a 5% interest rate for 60 months. That means over 5 years, that'll cost you $40,000 total with interest included. However, the monthly payment for this car might be around $600 per month. So you say to the dealer, hey, I don't really want to pay $600 a month, but I am okay paying $500 per month. The dealer listens to you and stretches out the loan term to 84 months or 7 years to accommodate your request. The overall payment is reduced to under $500 per month. That's what you wanted, but now guess what? The total cost that you pay for that car over 7 years is now close to $42,000. Second, let's pretend you give the dealer a monthly amount that you want to spend, $500 per month. But guess what? The car only costs $400 per month, so then the dealer will add on extras like warranties or add-ons in order for you to hit your $500 desired monthly cost, which might not have been necessary in the first place. Essentially, by offering up a desired monthly payment, the dealer can kind of use it to their advantage, saying like, well, we got you to $500 a month. We did exactly what you wanted. And another reason why dealers want to get you on a monthly payment track of thinking is that oftentimes the car salesman will get paid a bonus or get paid extra if you finance the car. If you choose to pay cash or get your own financing, the dealer can actually lose out on that bonus, and the dealer will always want you to finance the car through them since they're gonna get the bonus from the bank that they work with. And the last tip I have for you guys here is that if you are paying cash, do not let the dealer know that you're paying cash. This is actually not a positive thing for dealerships since they make money on the financing options. Sometimes you can negotiate a car to basically an out the door price, but if you are saying you're paying cash at the very end, it can change the entire makeup of the deal and it might kill the deal on the spot. So a good workaround is that if you have all cash, you can set up the terms for financing, get the car, and then a month later, just contact the financing department and see what the exact payoff amount is. That way you can still pay off the car through the financing department. I guess you technically still finance the car, but then you're paying it off early. So that's just a small trick that you can use and you should be fine. Just make sure there are no prepayment penalties, and there usually isn't anyways. All right, guys, I hope that this video was helpful. If you want a full video on car affordability, I made that video, so make sure to check out that video right here. Make sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and also check out my free newsletter Hump Days I told you about earlier, and I will see you guys in the next video. All right, peace.